Hi, Alan. How are you?
Hello. Hi, Richard. How are you?
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Richard Wee from Richard Wee Chambers. Together with me is Mr. Allan Phang from Evos Esports. Sorry, Alan, correct me if I'm wrong. Is that the correct way to pronounce the name? Evos or Evos?
Evos Esports is fine.
Evos. Okay. Sorry,
Some
sorry. I don't.
no worries.
Jangan marah, ya. So,
No, no problem.
okay. Let me just check to see
Don't
whether
worry.
we
I would like to say this. Don't worry. I won't sue you.
yeah, must be careful. Okay, we are broadcast live already on Twitch. Okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the RWC Twitch TV. We conduct RWC Legal Aid Clinic every Monday to 4 p.m. to 4:30, 4:45. We will always invite an esports stakeholder, a person involved in the esports industry. Over and above that, just to let you all know, every Monday to Friday at 3, in fact, no, every Tuesday to Friday at 3 p.m., we stream esports webinars and legal webinars on our Twitch. So anybody can log on to watch our webinars. But I repeat, every Monday, Allan Phang and I, today's Allan Pangton, we will actually host a person live here for a legal aid clinic. Now, let me see what's happening. How come? Hang on, huh?
Sure.
It looks like it's just like that. Let me just check with my team.
Okay. Cool.
Whether if there's a problem with broadcast, we can change. So what we do, ladies and gentlemen, is that hang on, Alan. I've got to check first
Sure.
for a while.
All good.
Yeah, it seems that it's not broadcasting. It's just showing this. I fear it because we have a TV downstairs.
Mm-mm.
Our internet, our lawyers. We have one of my lawyers will get the Twitch ready in another computer. I
Right.
worry that she put the screen and is blocking the live. Hang on,
All good.
uh, hang on, Alan,
Sure.
sorry.
All good. All good.
So, well, let's chat first for a while, Alan. How are you, man? How's everything in Evos Esports?
Okay. Okay. Can't wait to start flying again. It's been a long time, almost 1 year plus. Not used to it, right? Usually I
Yeah,
fly a
man.
lot.
How long have you been in the company already?
Going to be almost a year. I was there since April 1st actually, April Fool's Day.
So that means, unfortunately, you joined. I remember right in the middle of the beginning of the lockdown, and
That's
then
right.
after that, we had a long lockdown until June, July
Mm,
last year. Then reopened, then lockdown again. Now just a slight, people are beginning to come back, right? I think.
yeah, just starting
Oh,
to.
okay, all right. If you are back on, I think there'll be a slight delay on Twitch. Okay.
All good.
So let's do this, Alan. Uh, Today, ladies and gentlemen, we have Allan Phang on board. So Alan will be
Hi.
sharing with us some questions or some legal matters, some issues on legal matters.
Mm,
And if you have any questions out there, any of you have any comments, please feel free to ask Alan and I here. So Alan, how's it been in your company? Any issues any interesting legal matters that you have come up so far?
Personally, I've observed other teams actually. So we just talking about it. There was once a team that they say that they own a slot for this one of these leagues in Malaysia, and then it's like a he said she said kind of thing. And then one of the players said that no, actually the league gave the slot to us. So there's a lot of debate in social media. That's about I think a month ago. So I think it's very interesting because esports is still develop in its development stage, and it's not professional like Richard. You've seen football, etc. I mean they have contracts in place, etc. You can't just give over a slot randomly, on the mamak table or whatever. So maybe you can share your experience also. What can esports learn from traditional sports world in that sense, in terms of slots?
No, I think yes. Thanks. I remember you mentioned just now earlier about a
Mm.
team which they thought they joined the tournament, but they end up didn't getting a place in the tournament, right?
Yeah, the slot was given to one of their players instead of the team owner per se. But then there was a
Mm.
lot of debate lah. Then the player would say that, oh, they're just a sponsor, not the team owner. So wow, it kind of flared up in social media a couple of weeks back. Interesting lah.
Interesting problem, but of course, this boils down to the issues. I speak generally, Alan, because
Mm,
of course, to be fair to both sides, or all sides, we are not aware of the full facts and the details and the
yeah.
evidence. To be fair to them,
Mm,
but generally, when it comes to entering into a competition like that, I think the key problem will be evidence. I think okay, people must learn to differentiate, Alan, between your right and your evidence. So
right.
if you have entered into, let's say, Alan, you and we agreed to, I agreed to join your esports team. You agreed to pay me 10 ringgit a day to play in your team, for example. So that is an agreement we had, and then you give me a document for me to sign. I accept the terms. You keep the contract. So that contract, that piece of paper is evidence,
Mm,
and the fact that you and I signed the contract, that is the law confirming that you and I have a contract. Now, of course, actually, even if you don't sign the contract, but you and I have a handshake agreement, that in the eyes of law is also an acceptable contract. Not, you see, you don't really need to have a contract in writing. Your
mm.
contract can be done verbally. The problem with verbal contract is there's no evidence. It
Oh,
becomes your word against my word.
yeah,
So
yeah,
when we
yeah.
go to tribunal, we go to court, we go to arbitration, how to prove,
Right.
especially if let's say the other side refused to agree that there was an agreement. Now I'll give you an example, Alan. For example, you
Mm,
go to 7-Eleven, you buy sweets. There's no contract, what? You go there, you take the sweets, you put it on the counter, take the sweets, you put on the counter, you pay 5 ringgit, you walk away, right? So there's a contract because 7-Eleven agreed to sell you the chocolate, you agree to buy the chocolate 5 ringgit. That's the contract. But well, how can no contract, no return? You see, so don't forget, verbal agreement is possible, but
mm,
in the businesses like esports, uh, it is strongly advised that all agreements must be done in writing.
mm.
The moment you have it in writing, it becomes issue of evidence. So the back to that tournament case, we need to see the evidence lah. To see, I understand you shared with me those screenshots of an agreement and all that. Maybe those could have been evidence of people thinking that they have already entered into a contract, but actually maybe Mobile Legends have entered into a contract with the player earlier,
Mm,
so that it could be an issue of competing time, who went in first, maybe. Or it could be a terms and condition where the team owner didn't realize that
mm.
they didn't qualify to take part, but the player qualified. The player can go in, they cannot go in. They don't know, maybe. So sometimes you got to read these terms and conditions carefully. And I don't think, to be fair, someone as big as Mobile Legend, I don't think they will purposely shift the goalposts and change the contract. These are the kind of legitimate business companies. They do a tournament, they say ABC means ABC all the way. They won't simply change. So you also have to see the circumstances where both parties agree lah.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, I remember coming to you like about a year plus 2 years ago, and you said in traditional sports they even have the lawyer present at the tournament for the traditional
Correct.
sports. So I found that interesting. Not many esports people know that per se. Maybe you can share more about how that works.
Well, good question, Alan. Uh, you're spot on. I mean, in many tournaments, especially the major sports tournaments, like the Olympics, the Football World Cup. And then if you go towards local in Malaysia, for example, it is common for the badminton tournaments and the football league, for example. The lawyer doesn't need to be at the stadium, but there is a lawyer around. They have a lawyer on
Oh,
standby. Yeah. So, but in some tournaments like the Olympic, the lawyer is there.
wow.
Um, I'll give you an example. Let's say you're having a tournament. You take part in the Olympics,
Mm,
and you're playing, say, taekwondo.
mm,
You know. So then, your tournament team said, Mr. Lawyer, please be here just in case the umpire is biased, so that we can submit our complaint on the spot. I think this is what we spoke about 2 years ago. So
yep.
that is an example where on the spot, the team lawyer submit a complaint, and they will try to argue unfairness, biasness there and then, and that helps. That helps a lot. So at the Olympic recently in Rio, I think about 4 years, 3, 4 years ago, that's what happened. We had lawyers
Oh,
at the swimming pool, at the they were fighting for the country at the time.
wow.
So sooner you see a team will send players, managers, physiotherapists, lawyers.
Oh, next level, man. I
Next
mean,
level already, that one, yeah.
yeah, I haven't really heard that in esports world yet, but I think it's very interesting because, as you know, esports is moving towards similar traditional sport models. Like in the US, they have home away system they were trying to implement for Overwatch, and then of course you have open transfer season of the players transferring, etc. Yeah, so I think it's getting more and more matured per se. Of course,
Yeah, it
depending
is. It
upon
is.
country. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Ah,
is.
yeah. How
Well,
about yourself? Have you seen any interesting cases in the esports world in terms of the teams or players?
well, whenever we study cases, we have, in fact, recently. Let me just check my law firm's website. I remembered we wrote an article about this. Some Let me just share with you verbally what we saw. Uh, we do keep an eye on updates and development in esports law, or the situations in esports. So one, for example, was the Epic game against Apple about
Uh,
Fortnite. That was
mm,
one. We kept an eye on that. We also saw about the issue of e-doping. We keep an eye on e-doping. E-doping, as you know, is where people are what do you call this, manipulating the software, manipulating the
mm,
game. Then at the end of last year, we wrote a report on our website about the latest legal disputes in esports. So annually, my law firm will write 1 or 2 reports about esports dispute around the world. Around the world. So the Fortnite one is an interesting one because that one's going to court, right? The U.S. District Court is still fighting that. I think the first round, Apple lost. So, but there seemed to be a second, third round. Then, so I haven't seen any updates on that. I stand corrected. Maybe something has happened, but I haven't seen it. So I can give you, for example, we saw the trademark infringement between Boo McPhee against Talk Esports. We also saw the patent dispute between GameWise and Nintendo. Example. So these are samples lah, of cases that we've seen, and it's usually about trademark, patents, game dispute, ownership disputes. But to be fair, Alan, those are more corporate problems, corporate disputes.
right.
Then we have also on the ground. On the ground is exactly what happened in that case you said just now, where the player went in, the team didn't go in. So that is more of a the team problem, the player problem.
Mm,
That not all are reported. That one you have to see social media to see
mm,
who's complaining on Twitter. Then we see, oh, there's a fight, there's a fight. Then we then we will follow the Twitch. Sorry, we follow the Twitter. But that's what I see so far lah. Corporate dispute, patents, infringement, copyright. But anybody here who's interested, you just go to RWC website, look for our article. The header is esports. All the esports articles are there.
right. Yeah, I think it's really interesting. Even like in Malaysia, for example, we see like publishers spending more resources, And for example, for Malaysia, Mobile Legends have their own league, Mobile MPL, Mobile Legends Professional League. Previously, it
Mm.
was combined with Singapore, and you see like Tencent adding more resources, hiring like their country manager, country head in Malaysia. So definitely, as you see more money coming into the space, I feel definitely there needs to be also more professionalism in terms of contracts, etc. And I talked to a lot of teams also, but they hardly mention about a lawyer. So I wonder where they
Yeah.
get their news from, right? They were talking earlier just now, like they copy and paste contracts from the net or something like that. Have you heard about it?
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, I have. Okay, I won't mention the name of the.
Yeah.
It's not fair here, lah.
Mm.
But I observe. My observation is that um, teams and companies who are sending players over to tournaments, their contracts are sometimes cut and paste. It's very dangerous because some of them are using American terms, which is not
Oh.
applicable here. Some of them could be a translation from China, which is different law. um, and then also some agreements refer to an arbitration clause, which is to me doesn't make sense.
Mm.
Arbitration clause, FYI, Alan, is where you and the other party, if you have a dispute, you refer the matter to a court. But if you don't want to go to court, you can arbitrate. So arbitrate is a private court where you have to have a private judge. The problem with arbitration is that it's very expensive because you have to pay your lawyer and you have to pay the arbitrator. So if your dispute is only about 20,000 ringgit, 30,000 ringgit, you end up spending all the money on costs, you know. So I don't know why would you add in such a clause unless you want to purposely make it difficult to litigate, you know. So that's an example I noticed lah. So, but you see, this is an ongoing debate lah, Alan. The perception are lawyers are very expensive. The perception is that lawyer charge so much, but people don't. On the terms of the lawyer's fees, people don't see the amount of hours that the lawyers spend to draft an agreement. And yes, I'm not going to bullshit. The contract, a lot of it is based on certain template, So 30 to 40% of the agreement is quite consistent, but there's
Mm.
60% which is different. Every contract is different, So that takes time to draft. And I mean, you go and see a doctor, you line up in a private clinic, you see a doctor, you come out, the doctor charge you between 70 ringgit to 150. And most of the time, you see a doctor for like 5 minutes. If you see the private clinic doctor for 1 hour, the doctor probably charge you 300 ringgit, 400 ringgit, right? But that one you don't mind paying, despite the doctor seeing you for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. But be frank, how many of us go to doctor, have a cough, you see a doctor look at you, open your mouth, then give you a message, the whole thing 5 minutes. You wait for a doctor maybe 20 minutes, but the part where you actually sit down and talk to the doctor, it's only 5 minutes, right? But yet you pay 100 ringgit. But the
Mm.
lawyer do your work for maybe 1 week and charge you for say a contract for say maybe 3,000, 5,000. That's expensive. Actually, it's the same, same amount of
True,
hours,
true.
yeah. So at the same time, the contract once it's drafted, it can be used again and again. So you should at least like what you did in your former company, Alan. Correct. Go and get a lawyer, pay the lawyer to do one contract, and then that contract you can use again and again. So the lawyer also know. The lawyer know that you want to use the contract again and again and again. So you effectively pay one time only.
Mm.
Okay. So that's pertaining to money. But putting money aside, Alan, there are
Mhm.
many lawyers out there. I know if you give them a call, you ask for help, they will verbally tell you what to do, what to do, what to do.
Oh,
Isn't
okay.
that better? God. You look at our ex esports lawyer, my lawyer, my ex colleague Brian. You
Mm.
give Brian Boo a call.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
give him a call. Yeah, he will on the phone and tell you what to do.
Mm.
So there are people out there who are willing to help. Just search for us, lah. And then those of you who are listening to this, if you're not sure, you call lah. People like Flava, Clement, Alan Phang, Raman. They tell you, oh, you need a lawyer. You ask this lawyer, this other. There are many lawyers out there. I'm not the only lawyer, right? So yeah, that to answer your question, yes, contract cut and paste, very dangerous, not very good. My advice is, if you can, please try to find a lawyer, please.
Right, right. And then for Malaysia law, right? Let's say signing contract, all that. Do they need to undergo that chop kind of process and then pay the what stamp duty they call it? Can you share more about that?
Well, the stamp duty, very good question, Alan. Stamp duty is usually about the value of the contract, and then you have to pay the government a certain tax for it. But when you sign a contract for employment, let's say I engage Alan to be my player, that one don't need stamping. It's just a normal employment contract.
Mm,
But the stamp one is usually involving a big value of land, where you're buying or selling land, then
right.
you do stamping. And this stamping is not the post office stamping. This is actually the process of calculating the transaction, and then you have to pay a government tax. It's called stamp duty. So that's why you need a chop and sell. So that's usually for land matters, and it also involves buy and sell. Let's say share, buy and sell equipment, and there's a value involved. So, but for players' contracts, let's say you form a team under Evos Sports, Esports, they don't need to do don't need to do
Mm,
stamping. There's an
okay.
employment contract is enough. Yeah.
Right, right.
Mm.
And then what's your prediction in the next 3 to 5 years on the esports landscape in terms of law, etc.? Based on what you see the trend for the past 2 to 3 years that you've been involved in the space.
Yeah, I like this question. I really like this question because Alan, when I started off doing
Mm,
esports about 4 years ago, in 2016, my team and I in my former law firm, we decided, let's do esports,
mm,
and I downloaded Steam on
mm.
my MacBook, on my iMac, to learn to play Dota 2 because I lost touch with I lost touch
Oh, okay. We
so
didn't know
many
that.
years. Yeah, so many years I stopped playing the game. When I was in law student and I was a young lawyer, I used to buy games and play on my Windows 95, Windows 2000, the 2D game, all 2D one. And then I go to arcade, play the game. Then when I became a more and more busier lawyer, I stopped playing. So in
Mm.
2014, 2015, I begin to notice, I say, hey, there's this new phenomenon, computer game. Now they call it esports.
Oh,
Before, yeah. So I noticed that in 2014, 2015.
oh wow.
So in 2016, so at that time, what I noticed was the game was just about to develop into video game, become esports. So there was a change in perspective.
Right, right.
Then in 2016, I said, hey, I'm already doing, as you know, I do sports law. So I said, I think we must go into esports and try to help the esports community. But before you do that, you must learn the game. You must learn the game. So, Mervin is here. Hi, Mervin. So,
Right, Marvin.
yeah, I decided to download the game, play the game, even try to play the game on mobile. Some games on Mobile Legend can play on handphone. So we tried. Then only at the end of 2017, I made a big announcement that we are doing esports law. So even at that time, Alan, from 2015 to 2017, already there were changes already. Uh,
Right.
esports begin to come out from the dark cyber cafe. Those everything was cyber cafe, right? Now we begin to come out and play in the open, like what happened in Poland, the
Mm,
ESL in Poland. The major esports tournament in California, in New York. You can see huge tournament, and of course the big esports tournament in China. So at that time, I think between 2015 to 2017, 2018 is all about emergence coming out. Then 2018 until now, what I see is that, as you know, there's a really big space in
mm.
esports. Everybody is coming in. Every businesses, wow, every Tom, Dick, Harry, some of them never know nothing about esports. Want a busybody want to come into esports. I noticed that. So some are responsible, some they study the industry before they come in, some just want to bantai and make a quick money and get out. But for the game itself, minus the investors and corporate, but the game itself, the players became more and more professional. The team became more and more serious. So I remember I speak to our legend people like Kenchi, right? To me, people like Kenchi and Raman are legends and they've been around for
Uh,
so long. Yeah. So when I speak to them, Raman and Kenchi talk about physiotherapies. They talk about psychologists for the players. So that's how advanced the game has reached the last 3 years. So now we're in 2021. I look forward to, if I see forward, when it comes to law, I think people are still going to be apprehensive to look for
mm,
lawyers because they still always say, oh, yeah, lawyer expensive. I can do myself. Yeah, that's the big problem. And that's why I do this legal aid clinic to try and create the awareness to tell people, hey, look, no lah, don't lah always say lawyer expensive. He can do work one lah, it's value for money lah. So try lah. There are so many lawyers out there ma. Yeah, that's the first thing I see. I still think there'll be some apprehension of people using lawyers and professional services, but I think in about 3 to 5 years time, this industry will reach a saturation point where there will be some people who will be leaving. Those
right.
who don't like it, cannot make money, they will leave. So then, what remain will be those people who really are involved in esports. So I think this next 3 5 years, those who came in last year in 2019, they will still
Mm,
be here. But 1 or 2 more years, if they don't make it, they will leave already. You
mm,
know, that's
interesting.
how I see. Yeah, that's how I look at it. Then companies like your company, very strong, very stable. You grow bigger and bigger. If your company invests properly, manage properly, you'll be able to sustain for a long time. Even like like Adrian's company, very
Mhm,
well. Adrian's company and Frank's company, Orange
mhm.
and gaming company, they merge. So that kind of company is very well managed. They're going to try and make it properly, and don't be surprised that they can sustain for a long time.
Yeah, even they just a shout out to them. They have a esports city, they call it, in on top of Q City Mall in KL. It's a big
Yeah,
deal.
well done.
Come-
Mm.
Yeah. So what else have you seen in the esports space that you notice around Southeast Asia? How are the other countries doing? Have you heard
Well,
anything?
I will say one thing before about the tournament, Alan. I do notice when it comes to slightly different from esports but connected to esports is the issue of streaming. You know,
Oh,
like Twitch, yeah. I noticed one particular problem, which has been around for 5 to 10 years and is still there,
wow.
is harassment.
Oh, right,
Harassment.
right.
I think it's getting worse.
Mm.
I find, and it's not just harassing girls; it's even guys are being harassed, being attacked,
Oh,
being body shamed. I think people are very quick to criticize. People are
mm.
very quick to be racist. I've seen comments on streaming pages I go and visit sometimes is ridiculous. The kind of comments that people put. People, I don't know why, for some reason, very angry. Always want to shame people, want to scold people. That I think has a long-term impact on the mental health of the person who's at the receiving end of that comment. I think that
Right.
has to be addressed. The community has to step up and protect each other. You know, in fact I proposed last year a
Mm,
campaign which is love not hate.
mm.
Hashtag love not hate. Better to love than to hate. Yeah. Why is it that we always want to hate each other and hantam Alan very ugly Richard old man stupid fella. I don't understand. What's this thing about always being
Yeah.
angry and telling the other, yeah, what is this? So you see the girl, oh yo, too much makeup lah, oh yo, no so big lah, oh yo, what kind of hair? Why?
Mm,
What is the purpose of making such a comment? You know, so I find that very strange and a very toxic environment. So I noticed that in esports also. So some of the players, they get attacked. They
mhm.
play very badly. Wow,
Oh,
the
yeah.
fans attack them like hell. Already the fella already so stressed already. So you attack the fella some more. Yeah. And then, and to be fair, Alan, is this problem also exists in normal football, in
Mm,
normal badminton?
right.
in the traditional sports where when players play badly or didn't win, they get attacked on social media. You
Yeah.
know, so I don't understand. Or like for example, uh, uh, especially Malaysians, someone put up say, oh, this player so and so very good, and that player happened to be say a Malaysian Chinese player. Then the Chinese supporters say, "Oh, Malaysian Chinese, wow, very good lah. You know, you see Chinese very good." Then the Malay fellow say, "Oh, you think what? Very good. Are you? Oh, DAP, UMNO pass." Then the whole talk become a political,
Oh,
attacking each other on race. Ayo, I like what is happening. So I see that as one problem, the
right,
the toxicness in the environment, because we are able to hide behind our
right.
internet name and say stupid.
Anonymous. Yeah.
Mm, anonymous, correct. So that's one problem I see lah.
I guess it's going to be always be there unless the day the platforms request you to tie your social media to your own identity. Just like in China, I suppose you can't run away with
Yeah,
anonymity. Yeah.
in China they're pretty strict about it, and yeah, I concede lah, Alan. Very hard to solve the problem. I'm not here to just, but at the same time, I'm not here to just comment without a solution. I
Right.
do propose that it is important that people, when they are streaming, they must
Mm.
educate the listeners to say nice things. Because sometimes, Alan, even the streamers, I hear them on the internet, they themselves are toxic.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
There are some
Yeah.
streamers who will say some stupid sexual comments, some
Mm.
stupid racist comment, which doesn't help the situation. You know,
You're right.
so there must be some responsibility and accountability. So I mean, look at us, Alan, two of us. We can be irresponsible now and spend the next 5 minutes talking about a woman, how sexy she is, for example, and convert this talk into some hum sub talk, for example,
Mm.
right? But it's very responsible. It's a legal
Yeah.
aid, and we have two men talking about sex, for example. Yeah. So I think we must be responsible and learn to be accountable, lead by example.
That's
One,
right.
one solution, one possible solution. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you hear cases like in Malaysia, there are cases of a car company, the person says something racist or what, then next they get fired. The cancel culture, they call it, cancel this, cancel that, boycott this,
Yeah.
boycott that.
I mean, to be fair, if a person, that example you give, very good example. If a person really, Hai Chan Chan, he say, he never talk about some racist comment, don't accept the fella straight away.
Mm.
You know, at least bring the fella in, educate the fella, understand, maybe even push for different department. And yes, if you feel the comment is too strict, then yes, you may ask a person to leave because it goes against the company's policy. Fair enough lah, But you're right. Sometimes the cancel culture can be quite toxic. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then sometimes they will make police report, police reports flying in left, right, center. Yeah, so I think it's very interesting to observe this. But yeah, hopefully the esports community and industry will self-regulate itself. I think that's one of the best ways actually. Yeah, like
Alan, if we don't solve that problem, you see next time in future, more and more parents, they will not
mm,
encourage the children to take part.
yeah,
They'll be, yeah. So I mean, like for me, I see what's happening. If my kid want to take part, I'll tell my kid, just think twice, get
mm,
ready for what you're going to get in.
true, true,
Better
true.
to go, yeah, better go and play golf. Yeah, learn to play golf. You just hit alone. Then if you're doing very well, you can earn a few thousand ringgit a month. Better than going to esports where every 5 minutes someone say you're ugly. How lah.
True, true, true. I guess it's a double-edged sword, so need a lot of knowledge and go with eyes wide open,
Yeah,
especially
yeah.
streaming. Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we have Allan Phang from Evos Esports with us in RWC Legal Clinic. We've been talking for the last half an hour. Very interesting questions raised by Allan earlier on. He asked about a team which thought they registered, but it didn't turn out to be registration.
Mm.
How do you deal with that? Allan asked about some standard contracts, whether there's a cut and paste contracts. He asked me about what I think the future may be, And the last 5 minutes, we're talking about what are problems in esports, and I raised the issue of toxicity and harassment. So thank you, Allan. What else? We still got a lot of time.
Yeah, one quite interesting question actually. I mean, you hear nowadays people talk about tech, AI, robotics. Will this tech ever replace lawyers to a certain extent?
Mm,
Just like what's happening in finance, etc. What's your take
I
on that?
I
Yeah.
don't think they will fully replace lawyers,
Mm.
but I think no, I think lah. I know for a fact, technology and artificial intelligence can be used to help the legal fraternity.
Uh,
And when I'm talking about helping the entire legal industry and the legal fraternity, but to replace lawyers, it's like playing badminton lah. You cannot replace badminton play with a robot. You can't replace even esports tournament.
mm,
You don't want a computer fight against a computer. You want a
mm,
human being to play, right? So that's why I think even for lawyers, uh, most likely these machines, the AI and the tax, as in technology tech, my view will be used to make us better, faster, sharper.
mm.
But we still need to go through a human being like me and you to solve the problem lah. An AI and a machine can only think so much. Whether the machine and AI has any sense of humanity, that
Mm,
is something a machine can never have.
right.
So that is something I think we will have to be prepared lah. So, but I think to be fair, most lawyers in Klang Valley and in Singapore in major cities, they have already started using technology.
Oh,
So, so it's a question of the extent of technology. How far are you using technology? But for me personally, I haven't used AI yet for my legal work. Not
right.
yet. Mm.
You mean other countries they started using such
I
technology?
understand my counterparts in the States and in Europe, some of them are already using some kind of AI. So I give an example, Alan, is some law firms, they use applications and app to help generate contracts for them. So because there's so much work, they
Mm,
are unable to do work fast. So
mm,
they subscribe to an app where the app will help to create half of the contract for you. So by the time you reach your email, you already have half ready already. So it saves time.
right.
So in
Oh,
some sense, there's a small element of AI in that kind of app.
right.
And even in Malaysia, our courts, they are already studying the usage of artificial intelligence in the judiciary to help the judges. So it's a matter of time lah. But in Asia, I'm not sure the extent, but Malaysia is slow. In Europe and America, yes, but
Mm,
even then, not that fast as we think they are.
right.
Mm.
Sorry, another question. Do you think like esports tournaments, they should make it compulsory that each team get their contract vetted by an practicing lawyer or law firm?
Well, of course, as a lawyer, I would support that notion. But people will say, "Yeah, Richard, you want to cari makan?" Of course, you say that lah. But Alan, you've been in the business for so long. You've seen before problems after problems after, and you see many times where if it's in a contract, it's drafted properly. You just read the contract, the answer is there, problem solved. You know,
Mm,
so there is great value in having legal support, and even in major companies like Razer and all they actually have in-house lawyers working in them. So you see, even big esports companies, they value legal assistant in the company, right? If the big companies like Razer, if they don't think law is that important, then why
mm,
did they engage an in-house lawyer to work in-house? You know what I mean?
right.
So to answer your question, yes, I think ideally every esports team of a certain size, to be fair, the smaller one they may not be able to afford. But
Mm,
let's say the team has qualified to be professional, play in a tournament worth say $50,000 tournament. That kind of team at that kind of level, they should have one lawyer to help them.
right.
Uh, or they can even engage a in-house lawyer like Razor, employ a lawyer, work in the team. It could be cheaper. You pay the lawyer salary every month. He or she can solve all your legal issues. Also can.
Yeah, I just thought about it. Something that I feel, the stakeholders should explore. Since
Yeah,
it's the prize money is getting bigger and bigger each time, by the
yeah.
thousands to the millions. Yeah.
Also, Alan, more and more law firms now, the firms consider things like retainer services. So, for
Right.
example, Company X, let's say the team is called Esports X. So, Esports X, they want to retain a lawyer for a few months because it's a tournament coming. They want to retain a lawyer, say, for 4 months. There are
Hmm.
law firms, you just look for the law firm. They'll say, okay, you pay me X thousand a month. So, for 4 months, I'm your lawyer.
Right.
So
Right.
that 4 months you can use the lawyer services. So like you book the lawyer lah, like you say you are booking the lawyer lah, can it can be done. It could be cheaper, it could be more affordable, and you get to learn from the lawyer how it works. There are many ways lah to do it. So that's my opinion lah. Should have legal services, especially for professional esports teams.
Right. Yeah, I
Hmm.
think it's interesting. Because back then, no one has heard of an esports lawyer, maybe 3, 4 years ago, and now, I mean, Richard, you and RWC really, you are the forefront. You had the foresight to,
Come
yeah.
back. Thank you. I remember when we first started in 2017, and even when I started the idea in 2016, I have friends laughing at me. Say, huh?
Oh,
Esports lawyer? The video game war. I said, yeah, 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 but they have a lot of legal issues. So, and now I see a lot of people want to do esports law, which is good. Very, very good. Yeah. But 2017, when I started, I remember, I think we were the first in
hmm,
Malaysia. I think so. If
right,
somebody
right.
is before me, then I'm sorry. Congratulations to you. I didn't know you're number one. I'm sorry. I'm not here I'm not here to be in a competition. But I was told by many people in esports before I met you. I
Hmm,
think I met you in 2018.
hmm.
Yeah. So in 2017, when I started, those group of people I met, they all say the same thing like what you said. I've never met an esports lawyer, and I've been involved in esports for many years. So
Yeah,
it was interesting at the time.
yeah, I think importantly is that you also engage with the community. You had like a open house kind of thing. You
Oh
invite the
yeah, yeah,
esports
yeah, yeah.
community to your place. So yeah, it's a good exposure for everyone. Win-win lah. You had
Yeah,
a
thank you, Alan. Yeah, you reminded me. That was before the lockdown. Yeah, you used to have a
yeah,
barbecue for esports. Yeah, and also our talks, our seminars.
yeah.
You came for the talk with Allan.
Yeah, I think it's very rare that you see like a esports lawyer per se integrating with the community, getting to know them on ground, turun padang per se, going down on ground. Very important, not just sitting on your chair looking at the contract per se, right?
Yeah,
So
thank
very
you.
rare. Yeah,
I would recommend also to any lawyer out there, if you want to do esports, what Alan say, please go and attend the tournament, get to know the player, download
yeah,
Steam and play some games, understand the culture of the community, look at the way the casters are playing, about the course players, all integral part of the tournament. People like Alan who are the business development behind what they want, the tournament organizers, the tournament rules, then the team manager, the team problem. Everyone, I notice, Alan, have their
mm,
own peculiar challenges.
true,
So,
very true.
and we need to understand that problem and challenges and help the community whatever way we can from the legal point of view.
Yep, totally agree,
Mm.
Richard.
Well, okay, it's
Mm,
4:45. There you go. Yeah,
wow.
so fast. So, thanks, Alan. Maybe before we go, I would like to invite you to maybe wrap things up on your side. But thank you for your time. Anything you want to summarize, Alan?
Yeah, I think you've really done a good job sharing about the legal issues in the ecosystem, not just from a team perspective, but
Thank you.
also
Thank you.
from various stakeholders' perspective. And it's just going to get more interesting, and I hope to see more teams and even the ecosystem understanding the importance of having proper contracts in place by a proper lawyer, lah, not just copy and paste from the internet. And yeah, if any, I've dealt with Richard before in my previous company for our esports contract. So it's really a great lawyer. If any of the teams listening, tuning in, feel free to approach him as well. He's been really helpful in providing insights and yeah,
Thank you.
help save us a lot of trouble back then.
Thank you, Alan. Yeah. Okay, that was
Yeah.
an unexpected plug. Come,
And
sir, come,
also,
sir.
welcome, and also happy International Women's Day. I saw RWC also mentioned on your Facebook page.
Yeah, it's today's International Women's Day. Our firm has at the moment actually more than six ladies. We have about eight ladies working with us.
Nice.
Yeah, we have more ladies than men in the firm.
We also have a Mobile Legends ladies team in Indonesia,
Mm.
and we have quite a number of ladies as well in our organization behind the scenes working hard.
Yeah, it's International Women's Day,
Yeah.
but to me, I think every day should be a International Women's Day, and even Men's Day, if you want to say. I think it's important for us to treat each other with respect,
Mm,
and it doesn't matter whether he's a he or she, but a
mm.
human being should be given respect. Don't mistreat people. But yeah, nice words, Alan. Thank you so much, Alan, and I
Yep.
wish your team good luck. I've been following your development, doing well despite all the lockdown. I hope you all continue winning.
Well,
Uh,
thank you.
we'll catch up soon. So thank you for your time, Alan. Don't leave yet. I'm going to end
Welcome,
the
sir.
broadcast. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, everybody. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Bye.